Maybe I'll just start. So I was going to give a brief introduction on superfluids. I hope I don't make it too long and boring, but here goes. So this is what we were thinking of talking about. So first I'd introduce a bit, and then Meow can give a bit of an overview. We can go over some docs and then talk about Gitcoin submissions. So first of all, Superfluid is a framework for real-time finance. So what we're trying to do really is build a framework to build tokens that go beyond simple ERC20s. So if you think of a normal token, all it can do is transfer. Like you can send it from A to B, and that's pretty much it. And we think that's quite unoriginal. Like it's what money has always done. You've always been able to send it. It's not better than a bank. And we think with programmable money, we really should be able to do something which is more cool than that, right? So what we started thinking about was how can we connect balances to each other? So when we connect these balances to each other, we can then start maybe moving money in new ways, moving money in more fluid ways. And that's where the real-time component comes in. So we call this a real-time balance. So a real-time balance is when your balance isn't ever waiting for something to happen, right? So if you think of your bank account, right, until the end of the month, you don't receive your salary. So that's not real time. There's a delay between what you think you should have and what you actually get when you get it, right? There's all these delays in payments, which are natural in the traditional system, but we think in something like Ethereum, with blockchains, we should be able to build something that works better than that. So initially, of course, in blockchain, we just replicate what exists in traditional systems. But I think over time, we really start seeing more original stuff, right? And I think real-time balance is something that we can naturally only see in blockchains because of how interconnected they are. So basically, when we connect the balances, we then start seeing money flow in real time. And this basically is supposed to represent 100% of your liquid assets. It's not, basically you should never wait to receive money. It should always be available to you. So we think transactions for repeated transfers are extremely inefficient, right? So I like to think of it as if you want to move money from A to B, and you're moving it every month, it's as if you carried a bucket 12 times, right? It's not a very efficient system of moving the money. And it's something that over time, you really should stop doing. But how do we fix that, right? How do we make this transfer over time of money from A to B happen in a more seamless way? Well, with water, what we do is we build plumbing, right? So the way we fix this is we build agreements, which we call pipes for money. So agreements basically connect account A and account B and allow money to flow through them without any gas, without any friction, and without any transactions. And the reason I stress it's without any transactions is the kind of older way of doing streaming money, which were proposed initially by Andreas Antonopoulos, was by doing a lot of transactions. So basically his idea was you connect on the Lightning Network where transactions are almost free, and you do a lot of transactions. So you basically, every second you make a new transaction and send it to the network. Now, this can work. It can achieve similar things to Superfluid, but it's extremely inefficient. You're sending a lot of messages. You're sending a lot of transactions. If there's a delay in those messages, if there's latency in those communications, then the money stream doesn't flow as well. What we do with Superfluid is different. We basically connect the accounts and only need one transaction. The state is stored globally in the blockchain, and the money flows without transactions. So even if the user goes offline, he can't sign new transactions, he's not actively monitoring the chain, the money keeps flowing. And that's kind of the magic that we think we built with Superfluid. So Superfluid agreements are a new primitive, which is built into the Superfluid framework. Our framework is modular in a way that it supports multiple agreements. At the moment, we have 2, but we have more planned for the future. And we hope in the future, community developers outside like you guys will be able to, build and contribute with new agreements too. So we consider agreements to be financial relationships that last in time. So as I was mentioning before, if you're going to carry money from A to B once, then a bucket is a good solution. So you should just use a transaction. If you're going to move money from A to B many times, then it's worth laying a pipe so it becomes cheaper over time. So when is a stream useful? So the way we think of it, streams are useful anytime you have basically a service which is delivered over time. So if you're going to basically subscribe to a service, if you're going to work for someone for a period of time, if you're paying for access to a resource, if you're paying for access to some kind of property, then a stream makes a lot of sense because you're basically paying for time. So we consider streams as a native web-free primitive for subscriptions. We think it's an amazing tool to allow dApps to monetize through subscriptions that we know work. They work in Web 2, so they probably work in Web 3. And paying by the second just feels more natural on blockchains. We believe it's going to be how we donate to creators because it gives the sender a lot more control. It eliminates all the fees that intermediaries create. And again, it gives better liquidity also to the receiver. And we also believe it's going to be a very, very big thing for salaries in the future. So especially with remote workers, there is a long distance between who's paying and who's getting the salary, right? So at the moment when you're getting paid at the end of the month, you're trusting that the company will pay you, right? You work in a full month, and then if they don't pay you, there's nothing you can do except for maybe sue them, right? But if you're a foreign worker, you're living in a foreign country, it's not that easy to go and sue a company on the other side of the world, right? With Superfluid streams, if you're getting paid every second and they stop paying you, you can immediately stop working. So it reduces that risk that is not so big in something like a $10 a month subscription, but could be quite big if you're getting your whole livelihood through a work contract. So we think it will be very big for salaries. So Superfluid streams, we call them the perfect exchange of time for money. So you're literally paying every second, right? So every second of service or work that's delivered has a corresponding payment to it. And we believe this is the future of how we pay for things, because effectively, you don't use Netflix once a month, you don't use your apartment once a month, and you don't work once a month. You work the full month, you watch Netflix every day, and you use your apartment continuously. And the same way as you use the services, you should pay for them. And this is something that we enable with streams. And we believe, again, it will be how things generally move in the future. It eliminates counterparty risk. It allows you to leave anytime, which is extremely liberating and empowering for users and payers. It allows you to do granular payments. So you can, for example, subscribe to Netflix for a week, subscribe to some other service for a few hours even. Like Santiago in the chat has built an app where you can basically pay for every minute of a Zoom call, right? So this kind of very granular payments are something that doesn't really exist in Web 2, but we can uniquely enable with blockchain technology. It also eliminates the need for working capital. Now, this one might be a bit more financial, but basically what it means is you don't need to accumulate money anymore. So normally, as a company, if we need to pay salaries at the end of the month, we will accumulate money throughout the month, and then at the end, we'll make these payouts. As a user, you'll accumulate money throughout the month and then pay your rent at the end of the month. So this accumulation basically means that money is moving slowly and it's not doing anything while it's in your account. If you think of everything moving in streams, you never need to accumulate in the same way. So you could literally have money coming in for a salary, streaming out your rental payments, streaming out your subscriptions, and streaming the difference to your savings account. And you never have basically money sitting around, right? And this is something that we believe is very powerful for finance in general, but we'd love to hear like kind of what you think about this. So another thing we've built into Superfluid are reward distributions. So we call this an instant distribution agreement. And I'm happy to say, while we find it extremely hard to explain, there were 3 submissions in the bounties that use this primitive. So I'm very happy to say that. Basically what it does is it automates paying a group of people over time. So imagine, for example, a company paying dividends or a DeFi product that's paying farming rewards continuously. So if you think of it from a normal point of view, what you're going to do is a huge number of transactions. You're going to send every single recipient a transaction every time you want to distribute the rewards. But by using Superfluid, what you do is you basically connect the distributor, so the person paying, with pipes to all the receivers, right? And once these pipes have been laid, the payer can then distribute money to all of them in a fixed cost transaction. So this means it's going to cost the same if you have 10 receivers or 1 million receivers. And obviously, this is maybe something that you don't really appreciate if you have 10 receivers. But when you start scaling your applications, right, when we see blockchain becoming something a lot more mainstream, when you have a stock that's traded publicly and has, you know, a lot of shareholders, then this technology becomes extremely powerful. And some of the applications we saw by the guys during the bounties were really, really impressive around this this new primitive. So this is basically what Superfluid does, but because of how agreements work, it's interesting that we basically internally hadn't even initially figured out how to fix this, but agreements have a life cycle, which is different to a transaction, right? A transaction basically is 1 second and it's over. An agreement basically can be created, updated, and deleted. And in order to enable programmability of these agreements, we needed to create hooks. And these are the Superfluid callbacks. Basically, they enable you to create custom code that will be executed when a stream is opened, updated, or deleted. And again, there were a few of the submissions for the bounties that really harness this. And we believe this feature will essentially enable us to build really, really cool programmable money features in the future. So I just want to introduce our team. They've introduced themselves already, but this is us. So me, Miao, and Mike are the founders. Nuno is our blockchain engineer. Mehul is working on the front end, Damola too, and Cesar and Vivi are designers, and Annette, our community manager. And then we had the amazing help from Patrick on the documentations and Chris, who built our website. So you can find this at Superfluid Finance About, and I'll leave the floor to Annette.
Thank you so much for amazing intro. It was super interesting for you to introduce the protocol, and I hope that everyone will learn at least something new. I just shared the poll on how well do you know Superfluid, so feel free to vote on the poll. And this is a little place for the questions. So if anyone has the questions regarding to the presentation, feel free to show the question or two right now. And then we will move to developer overview by Mia. So questions? Okay. Does anyone have questions? Feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, Sandy from Non-Origin and BlockRocket. Do you know when you was thinking about sending money to many, many people at once? Obviously, a lot of the time when people come to blockchains, there's like implications of tracking the transactions and stuff. So say if I'd airdropped 10,000 people, then all them people have to go and do the tax returns at some point because they've got something for free. Is it still fully traceable in that way that you know exactly who got what at what point?
Yeah, so this is Miao here. So I'll just give a quick visualization of how that would work. Yeah, in short answer is yes, you can still track it. To visualize that as if there is the pipe established from sender's account to the receivers, like tens of thousands of receivers. So those pipes are traceable, but the action of actually distributing through the pipe is just one transaction. But you can list the pipes basically, if that analogy helps.
Yeah, apologies for the boring question.
All good, no worry, Andy.
Hey, Andy, taxes are not boring. You can ask all the tax-related questions you want.
Well, it's just that it takes the fun out of it, but you guys are into finance, so I guess it's going to be important if people start using this for the things that you imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the interesting questions is if you're sending a stream, does every microtransaction constitute a taxable event, right? These are the questions we get sometimes, and honestly, I really wish I had the answer, but I guess it's down to the accountants in the future to figure out this stuff.
Yeah, because I guess when your balance is always changing and the accountant says, what's your balance? You can say, well, it's a good question. I can tell you what it will be now, but in 25 seconds, it's going to be different.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it seems we've got our votes in from the poll. So it seems most people know a bit about us, a few very little, but for those that don't know much about us, please join our Discord. We can, help you through the docs or, answer any questions. So I think I'll leave it to Meow now to give a brief overview of what's coming with the protocol.
Yeah, thanks. So I'll just give a very brief update on the protocol side. So it comes to surprise a lot of people that we haven't shared the code yet in our public preview repository, but that's going to change soon. And we are still in the process of getting our code audited. And we thought it's prudent to keep it closed source until we get it audited. And also, along with the audited code, we'll release a technical paper explaining the concepts and more deep dive of the technical aspects of the protocol. Also, one of the things that people use our protocol that complain about was it's not so straightforward to, let's say, create an agreement or because of the usage of host contract and all those wrapping. So next release, our SDK will also be improved. And maybe I can share a really quick view of how that would look like. So, for example, when you create flow in the next release, we'll simply have this kind of simple JavaScript API that you can create a flow specifying what super token you want to send and who's the sender, who's the receiver, and what's the flow rate. Also for things like update flow, delete flow. You can also list flow within this SDK. So using the simple Web3 interface instead of using the graph. We are planning to set up a graph sooner or later, but the SDK would not rely on the graph query API, but just the Web3 itself. Also, what's coming after the auditing is that we have Francesco mentioned that we have 2 agreements in the pipeline, of auditing at being audited, but we are thinking on adding more agreement. And once we are public, I think we'll get a lot of also feedback from the community, what type of feature they want, and maybe we will think more even what kind of agreement we could build. But in general, what's coming next is a hybrid between the flow agreement, constant flow agreement, and the instant distribution agreement. Imagine that you are distributing through those pipes with thousands or tens of thousands of recipients, not instantly, but as flows. So those are the things that we're trying to build, but not for this auditing phase, but release after. So we have a lot of things coming. Also, we'll also improve. We'll get our documentation regarding how to actually build the app better. Currently, we don't have a comprehensive documentation about it, and people are just copying the example code and shooting in the dark. And amazingly, we had 17 submitted, and quite many of them are actually the apps. So that's actually amazing. But we'll improve that, and in the audited release, we will have the documentation regarding what is actually a super app and how to write it and why it's structured such way. So that's also something would come. Just something on top of my head. I don't have a slide to prepare. We are still, every engineer here is quite busy working. So we're trying to get it out before the holiday for sure. So stay tuned. Right, thanks. I'll give the floor back to Annie.
That was awesome intro. Thank you, Miao. So I'm just going to launch another poll, and this one will be more about you guys. So feel free to answer the question, what brings you to this community call? And now it's time to give us a quick overview. Nuno, are you ready for showing us the documentation?
Yes, yes. I'm going to share. Okay. Can you see my page? Okay, perfect. Basically, we are now migrating our. Oh, sorry. We are migrating our documentation to Gitbook. So we are. This is still not public. I don't know who have in the hackathon find it, the documentation helpful or not. We are still collecting feedback. So if you have something to point it, please tell me so we can make this better. But this documentation was a great job by Patrick. Create everything and test it is really amazing. If we take a closer look, we have also the tutorial part, but the cheat sheets. So basically, we can just copy paste commands because we don't have a lot of documentation talking about the protocol yet. This is a great tool. I use it a lot. So if you can look it up, give opinion, what you want to see, if everything is clear or not, so we can create more documentation. Now it's still in the minimal, but we are creating more. I would like to see in here an app tutorial, so how people can build apps. It's a great concept. People that participate in hackathons created apps. Incredible, because we don't have documentation. It's amazing. Kudos to them. And basically, I wanted just to show how people are consuming our code. They are going to GitHub, and from this, they can understand what we are trying to say, and that's amazing. But we wanted to polish this a little way more. So if you have any questions about the documentation or about the protocol itself, ping us in Discord. We are there to help you. I just wanted to talk about this app in particular, so people can understand why we are so fond about apps. This app is not about money. This app will execute code when something happens on chain. So this is just a toy app, but when you stop a stream, we are going to transfer your wallet to another person. We can imagine that as a dead man switch. Why I'm talking about this? Building an app in Superfluid, it's not about streaming money. Streaming money is just one feature. With some work and some documentation, I really think people can build some amazing apps, not about just transferring money and distributing dividends, but solve other problems in Ethereum. I call this app a dead man switch. So basically, if something happens to you, automatically you are going to transfer all your wallets to your wife, to your children. And that's the message I wanted to pass. With documentation and with code, you can build pretty amazing things. But I need the input, because for me to build this was easy. But I need your input if it is easy or not. And if it's not, why? So we can get better. I don't have anything more to say.
Thank you, Nuna. That was great update on our documentation. So now it's time for Mike to give us some super cool updates on Gitcoin submissions.
Thanks, Annette. So first of all, thanks to everyone who took the time to participate in our Gitcoin bounties. It was absolutely great and overwhelming submissions, so that even Francesco and I had sometimes hard time to really understand how this works and what you can do with them. What I'd like to do now is to present them really quick. So let me just change my screen quickly so that we can show some of those who participated. I think you should see me now. Right. Okay. So what you can see here is our article that we posted on Medium.
We can see you.
Can you see me now? Great. Okay. So we actually had 7 submissions coming in, and they are one better than the other. So it's been a hard time to even judge them and look at them. We'll soon reveal the winners. But let's quickly dive into them and give you a bit of an overview of what each one is doing and how they are leveraging what Superfluid has built so far. So I'm going to show them in order of alphabetical order so that we don't have any bias. But let's see what the community has built so far. So the first one in alphabetical order is Creaton. Is kind of a decentralized content sharing application where is using IPFS to load content, being any type of content. And through a subscription, you can access this content. And the way it's done is done by what we call constant flow agreement, which is the streaming we have spoken about. And the kind of remarkable item of this application is that it wanted to have 1 month paid up front. So if you want to stream 10 DAI a month, you would pay 10 DAI upfront, and then you would start a stream. We didn't implement this yet, but the team of Creaton has hacked it such that you pay 10 DAI upfront and you start a stream for 10 DAI a month at the same time, but a backward stream goes back to the sender for the same amount for the first month. So it's like you stream to the content creator and then back to yourself for the first month, and then they stop the backward stream. So you kind of keep streaming to the content creator. And this way they enabled a subscription where you pay 10 per month upfront as a one-off transaction, but you also start the stream after that. So that was fascinating, and thanks a lot for doing that. Next up, we have Duet, or Duet if you want, which is also pretty interesting kind of peer-to-peer data science kind of knowledge sharing platform, where you actually pay to access data scientists, and you do so via a Jitsi call, which is like an online tool like Zoom. And the way it works is you start a stream, and as soon as you do that, a call also starts. And then you can talk for how much time you want or you need. And then as soon as you stop the stream, the call also stops. So the idea here was to create a kind of by-the-minute subscription for an online call with someone. Next up, we have Emanator, or I don't know if I pronounced this correctly, Emanator in Spanish, maybe, is actually a way to distribute NFTs through a continuous auction. So there is an NFT on auction and you can bid. And if you bid for a specific amount of time, you get the NFT. The way you're bidding is also unlocking what we call IDA, or instant distribution agreement. So you subscribe to a reward distribution such that the royalties of the NFTs that are auctioned or collected via the auction can be redistributed to everyone who owns one of these NFTs. So this is a quite interesting application because it allows kind of scalable distributions of tokens through Superfluid protocol. And that was amazing to see. Next up, we have Liquid Bursary, which is a way to apply to a scholarship, or basically request a scholarship from the community. And anyone can fund that scholarship. And once the scholarship is being funded, it streams back to the one who requested it. So it's kind of a scholarship on streaming rails. Next up, we have Outpost. Outpost is basically a subscription protocol that is built on top of Superfluid, And what's remarkable about this is a very nice and also quite complex social token play. So in order to access premium content from a specific creator, you would buy his own token. So he's like personal token, like, you know, $Alex or $Sam. And then you stream that to the content creator. That way, it allows you to actually see the content, like premium content. But at the same time, it subscribes you to what we call instant distribution agreement, which means that the content creator can click a button, send a single transaction, and then distribute the rewards in social tokens to everyone who has been donating or streaming to him. So it's a rather complex social token play, but we found it absolutely fascinating as well. Last two, next up, we have Rent NFT. So Rent NFT is making use of, again, our constant flow agreement. So the way it's working is you can rent an NFT, and in order to rent it, you pay in a stream. Now, when you do that and you actually pay in a stream, you can get to, you get also a new NFT minted in reverse. So you pay rent on the NFT as a stream. That way you mint an NFT, which is actually the token that receives the stream. And what's interesting about this kind of integration application is that the minted NFT, which represents the income stream, can be transferred or traded. So they allowed an NFT to come together with an incoming stream of value. So then they can actually trade the incoming stream of value from the rent, which also we found quite remarkable. And then last but not least, we have Superfluid marketing campaigns. So this submission was making use of our IDA. And here you have some kind of interesting incentive structure, I'd say, for someone who wants to distribute a marketing campaign. So the way it works is you have a stream, you have a tweet, and you can create a reward system for someone to promote that tweet. For example, I can decide to give one DAI to everyone who likes or retweets my tweet. And as that happens, we have some threshold in time or in amount of likes and retweets. And when we hit a specific metric, we distribute the rewards to everyone who has tweeted or liked that tweet. So it's a kind of incentive structure for scalable marketing campaigns leveraging Superfluid protocol. So again, thanks to everyone for these amazing submissions. We know the documentation is still at its infancy, and we know it's been quite hard to pull off brand new applications on top of Superfluid. What's great is that we have we had touched on everything that we have created so far: the constant flow agreement, and also the IDA, so instant distribution agreement. And some of the submissions were also making use of what we call super apps, so a framework of functions that allow let's say smarter usage of blockchain technology without all the complexity of Solidity. So thanks a lot, and I'll give it back to Annette.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, and congrats to everyone who joined our Gitcoin Bounty. It was a pleasure to work with you guys, and it was a pleasure to actually see all the amazing submissions to our bounty. And actually, we should have some people who joined the Gitcoin Bounty submissions there on the call. So if there are some of them alive, feel free to say hi and probably say something about your protocol. If Mike didn't tell everyone already.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Roy. I am the creator of Superfluid marketing campaigns. So it was the last app that was demoed in the previous session, like sub session. So yeah, it was, so I wanted to create an app like this, a marketing campaign app which would leverage something like an instant distribution agreement. But before I had seen Superfluid, and that was the missing piece in my design and my thinking. And when I saw the Gitcoin hackathon, I was like, okay, this fits perfectly into what I had envisioned. So it just worked out. And I would love to carry on and build a production system based on my initial proof of concept once the framework goes into mainnet.
Awesome.
Right.
Thanks a lot for your submission.
Did you find anything difficult to do from your idea and your initial designs to implement it in Superfluid?
So yeah, I wanted to so I implemented it using IDEA, right? And how I would create an index and how I would update an index. I had just one example to work from, so it wasn't very obvious off the bat how I would implement the IDEA. But then I read and reread the example and I understood, oh, this is how it would work. And I eventually got there. But if I had a more comprehensive example of how an IDEA would work, then it would have been faster.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, the Creaton thing with you pay the DAI up front and then the stream in reverse over the month back to the subscriber. I think that's beautiful. I love that whole this concept of being able to stream one direction, but then there's also one in the other direction. That's such a cool use case, and it makes perfect sense because you don't want to release content to somebody who's only streamed for 10 seconds and then they turn it off, but now they have the MP3 or the NFT or whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool. In terms of my project, Victor and I were using the IDAs for the Emanator, and we wanted to add in the constant flow agreements during the auction. We ended up just using the IDA, and that was that was a lot of work just to get up to speed on using Superfluid. So that ate up most of our time, but I thought that was pretty neat. And yeah, I mean, the SDK part was my favorite part because of the resolver and how it could just generate all the contracts for you. One thing that I'm looking forward to is being able to use Ethers.js instead of Web3.js, because I know I was bugging Meow about that a little bit, which shouldn't be too hard to do. But yeah, I think the SDK was the part where I was just oh, this is beautifully implemented. That's so annoying when there's even DAI or one of these other protocols, and you have to dig through so much documentation just to find the dang contract addresses, and it's guys, can we get this together? So I think this is probably gonna hopefully become an industry standard. Crossing my fingers that people just have a resolver SDK, something simple and lightweight that, when you're learning a new protocol, here's how you get the addresses, So yeah, that was my favorite part of the protocol, aside from just, the agreements themselves.
Super nice from you, Patrick. Thank you so much for such a kind words.
I'd say too, so working on Emanator, I think one of the neat things about Superfluid is that because it's such a paradigm shift in the way that money moves, it's like a naturally creative process to start thinking about what you can build with it that's different from the ways that things have worked before. And I think it's a cool thing to be able to spread, the kind of the gospel of what these tools are and how they change the way money behaves. And I think that we're still just scratching the surface of it because it is such a strange or such a different paradigm about the way that the financial system works. And so I think like one of the challenges is going to be trying to figure out how to communicate what this concept is, and then you start to have the creative wheels start to spin about what applications can you build and how do you take advantage of it. And I think it's a ways away from coming to fruition, but that's also what makes it kind of exciting.
Any other feedback from those who submitted applications to the Gitcoin bounties? We'd love to hear from you if you're here.
Yes, so I'm working on Kraton. So I'm actually porting it to Ethers right now. Most of it is working. Only the wrapping of the stablecoin somehow doesn't really work yet. But yeah, for the rest, Ethers is implemented.
Yeah, that's great. I would like to keep in touch with you about that because I want to just take a note that there are some breaking API change coming. So I would like to keep you updated also. I mean, actually everyone updated. I mean, but don't be scared. It's just natural for the final version for comparing to the previous version. So there will be a communication about what are the breaking changes, and we definitely will dedicate more time to help you in person to fix any problem if you're facing. And regarding that SDK, that's great that if we could have also Ethers.js a version of it, because a lot of people are asking for it, and that's definitely something we're trying to do. And it will be open source and it'll be a community-driven project for the product side eventually. So that's something that we will start ASAP.
Yeah, and talking of API changes, so like the documentation had the version 0.1.2 preview 2020-1014, which like I was running into errors when I was trying to instantiate using that version, but I was successful when I used preview 2020-0928. So maybe the documentation needs to be updated on the doc side.
Yeah, could be. We'll take note of that. Yeah, we had two versions basically. There was a hotfix, and we scrapped the previous version which was released for a few days, and then that's probably when the doc was. I think that was when the doc was written, so some of the link may still not be updated. We'll clean it up.
Yes, makes sense. Thanks.
Anyone else from the Gitcoin bounties that contributed with a submission?
I think Santiago maybe is the only other person who submitted something.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, okay, so cool. One thing that would be cool would be for you to deploy your contracts on different testnets. Yeah, because there are other existing protocols that I would love to integrate or work on some kind of integration, but these are deployed on either on Rinkeby or Koban. Yeah, so that would be cool to have.
We try to sync the nodes on a couple of other testnets. It takes forever. We'll keep trying and keep doing our best on it. I think maybe Miao can say a bit more about it.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely we will support more testnet. I think Kovan is out because of I think they're officially out. So I think Rinkeby and Gurley will be minimum. Yeah, we'll see if Robston or not Robston, but what did I say? Rinkeby, Robston, and Gurley. Yeah, three. Yeah, supported three. Yeah. Yeah, we will eventually support all of them. We need to first set up our internal Web3 nodes. Then we'll be sure. So yeah, it's on our plan.
But Santiago, I'd love to know kind of what kind of our protocols are you thinking of integrating? Like what ideas do you have?
Well, I'm currently working on the recently launched hackathon from the Ocean Protocol. Yeah, so I think I'm planning on combining my current what I hacked on with Duet and the OpenMind libraries, and also integrate the Ocean protocol in order to create like these data streams, so people can get paid in real time by giving access to this data through the Ocean protocol. Yeah, and they have all the kind of infrastructure like compute to data services. So it would be cool like to allow people to get paid in real time by signing an agreement in these two protocols, right? So they sign an agreement in order to create like a compute to data service, and they also sign an agreement that will get these data owners paid in real time by in terms of how long these compute executions take on their premises.
Sounds great. I was wondering, is there anyone else in the call that is thinking about building with Superfluid, or is like considering playing around with our code, or has questions on any shape and form? Like we do have some time now to just have a chat, and it would be nice to know if you can help anyone or if we can do anything better.
I'd love to. Hey, everybody, this is Adrian from Austin, Texas. I'm coming from the music industry, and I'd love to hear if anybody has any visions to how some of traditional music streaming could be reimagined with something like Superfluid.
Well, I think that would be for you. We can just put the tag in. Yeah, like you can imagine different models, right? You can imagine a model where you stream money for music, or money for time, or money for knowledge, or money for data. You can probably play around with many models where you have fixed fees, or kind of streaming fees or subscriptions that are maybe coupled with some reward system. And I think that we can go into a lot of different scenarios where you can actually get everything on chain, so on Web3, with IPFS and other systems. So maybe we can have a decentralized Spotify at some point.
Very exciting. Yeah, looking forward to looking more into the tech. Congrats on all the progress so far, guys.
One thing, Adrian, that I think would be really cool. For example, there was Rack who issued the tape. I think it was a fungible token where you had to buy one and then you could redeem it for a copy of the song, right? I think that's how it was working. So right. Imagine you're using something like Emanator that Patrick and Victor built, where you have this streaming auction, and every time there's an auction, it mints a new NFT, and that's like a digital version, a digital kind of edition of the song. So I think that's what they were thinking about, because it's called, I think, My New Album. One of the kind of tests they made was called My New Album. So Vic?
Yeah, so that was actually one of the inspirations for this, Adrian. We didn't get a chance to build in kind of the content feeding part of it, but this is really the distribution, the emanation part of it, dissemination part of how something would get out there. It's not so much a streaming model, but much more of an ownership model. So you could imagine uploading like an MP3 that's encrypted or something to IPFS, and then auctioning off an NFT that would be the sort of like master almost of it. And people might bid a lot for that master because, well, one, it might have rarity value because it'll be marked as like NFT 0, like generation 0. And then you also will get the most downstream revenue sharing rights. So the idea is to fuse the interests of the creator with the people that want to purchase the content. Could be a song, and those people could be just fans that want to own a copy, in which case they probably wouldn't want to jump in early to pay what would probably be a higher price for the very earliest generation ones. They can wait until the auctions have sort of cooled down, and then you could just bid like $1 or something, whatever the minimum threshold is, to get it, and then you have a copy yourself, plus you have residual auction rights, which are going to be relatively small down the road. But the idea is that you fuse those two interest groups together, the creators and the fans, and also the speculators. And then you have essentially, you don't have to have the creator make a decision ahead of time about how many copies there should be. For instance, when you look at like Nifty Ink, which is a really cool inspiration as well, where you can make a work of art and the creator says, I want to mint 10 of these, and then people can try to buy them and then trade them. The creator has to make a bet early on about what the demand is, and maybe if it goes too high or whatever. But this is essentially a system that continues to reward the creator for every single purchase down the stream, but then also allows the fans themselves to have a financial investment in the success of the content. So if you're interested in talking further, I'd love to kind of share more about what we were thinking and how it might apply to music.
Very exciting. Yeah. I saw somebody posted a link with all of the projects. Is your contact info on that page? Do you know? If not, can you post your Discord or Twitter or something?
Sure. Yeah. So it's actually like Patrick is the one who's on the Git repository there. So Pioneer Pat, but yeah, happy to post it in here too.
Very exciting. Thanks for sharing.
What's your handle in the Superfluid Discord? I'll ping you right now.
It's Adrian Ricardo, and the O is a 0 at the very end.
It's like we're having new projects coming up.
Yeah, look forward to connecting. I'm curious.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, guys.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, hello, everyone. I'm also working with Alex and Creaton. So I'm on the part of crypto. I don't know much about Superfluid, just on your question, Adrian. So basically our protocol right now almost supports some kind of Spotify if we manage to get Superfluid working. And then we also have all the content encrypted. And we're also looking into implementing some kind of NFTs the way Victor told it. So we're also headed in that direction. So we have like a special version of a song you would like to share with some fans, and it's all secure, potentially, should be. And we would like to keep in touch with you as well.
Very cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, take a look at our website. You can basically right now upload some stuff and have it encrypted on IPFS. Yeah, you would like it.
I'll take a look. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks a lot to everyone. Like, I think it was a really good call. I'm like so excited to see so many cool ideas float around. I wish we can have more of this kind of conversation on the Discord. I guess that's kind of the best venue to throw these ideas around and see what can be built quickly. I'm glad to hear that so many of you want to keep working on the hackathon projects, because honestly, like, I think they're really, really amazing ideas. And a lot of hackathon projects kind of die there. We've seen this happen. Me and Meow have done like 4 hackathons together, and I don't think we ever continued on any of the projects, which is a pity. So I'd love to see you guys continue. And from Superfluid, absolutely all the support you might need. We are here for you. We can help you. We can build the SDK around what you need, which is really how it should be built, right? So you can help us design it, tell us what you need, and we can kind of standardize that and make it available to other people in the future. So yeah, please, be more active in the Discord so that we can, fix things as they occur rather than afterwards. And Patrick, by the way, is helping us with documentation. So if there's any problems you might have, you can also hit him up directly if you want and complain to him. And I'm sure he'll enjoy that. And yeah, great to see everyone. Let's take it to Discord. I think maybe Annette has some final words.
Yeah, thank you so much, Francie, for a word. So I'm just going to share all the links to our documentation, our website, the dashboard, GitHub, Discord, and Twitter. Feel free to follow us on social media like Twitter, and come and hang out with us on Discord. We are super happy to see you there, ask questions, chat, and whatever. And thank you so much all for attending this call. It was such a pleasure to host you all, and we are looking forward to see and organize more of those calls. So just keep an eye on Discord and Twitter. So we may announce another one in a couple of weeks to chat about another updates from Superfluid team. And I hope that you enjoy it. And thank you all for attending. Have a great day and a week. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all for attending. Bye. Have a great day.